Hello everyone, I'm back to provide an update on my League Starter now that we actually have access to all Ascendancies, and I will be sticking with Infernalist minions. I'm not sure if Infernalist is going to be the best option for minions for the end game, but I think the early game and your first experience of PoE Exile 2 matters so much that I definitely want to play Witch, as I think the start is going to be so much smoother than trying to play it on any different Ascendancies. The other options I've considered were Invoker, as it looks pretty good defensively and it gets some extra spirit. Gemling Legionnaire, which I've heard a lot of people hype up. I think your experience is going to be miserable early on, and I would highly recommend against it on your first character. Or Titan, which can pretty much play anything because the nodes are so global. There's also other possibilities like Chronomancer, but choosing to start a wage to have a good time early on and a fun experience is, in my opinion, the correct choice. You know what else is a good time and a fun experience? The sponsor of today's video, Boot.dev. I've actually found myself using it every time I have extra 20-30 minutes, and instead of doing nothing and scrolling YouTube shorts and losing brain cells, I actually do a few chapters of Python programming. Without learning new skills can actually be kind of fun if you have reasonable goals set for yourself and a gamified system that keeps you interested rather than bored. If you are looking to learn either Python or Go and you don't know where to start, I can highly recommend checking out Boot.dev. It will definitely keep you occupied during the long queues ahead of us, waiting for PoE2 servers to finally come up. It will get you writing code in the seconds you try to join the website because realistically, that's the only way to actually learn it. And if you ever can't figure out something, the website has inbuilt solutions to the presented problems or an AI that can help you if you were to ask the correct questions. Make sure to use the code Ventrua for 25% off of your first subscription up to an entire year, or check the link below. Compared to other builds, it is a lot harder to plan a minion build perfectly, because we don't actually have all the minion stats, we don't know how they behave, and we don't really know how often they use their abilities or how good the abilities they have actually are. That is one of the reasons why I will just try post as many updates as possible even during the campaign, so make sure to subscribe to the channel if that's something that interests you, as I will be testing a lot of stuff unless my build is popping off. I do have like 5-ish build ideas that I will go over, but if any of those doesn't work, or if all of them work, I will just try everything. That is what PoE Exile 2 is for. It is for experimenting. I will try to make the build work. I will for sure stick with minions, but it's always good to have some backup plans in case your first plan doesn't work. I think the most important support gem when it comes to early game minions and skeletons in general is gonna be Last Gasp. From what we have seen in the early access videos that were available with minions, minions do die quite often early on, and Last Gasp allows them to actually keep damaging even after they were to normally die for 4 more seconds. What's more than that is minions automatically revive every 7 or 8 seconds by default, which you can even reduce to a lower amount. And at least in the videos that I have seen, the timer was ticking down during the Last Gasp effect, so your downtime was very minimal. So I will most likely try to utilize this gem on whichever minion I'm currently using as my main damage source. Build idea number 1 actually revolves around Bone Storm. The way this skill works is it creates a bunch of spikes, then sends them to the boss, and your minions consume those spikes to get extra damage for their attacks. This looked really good in the showcases that we have seen in the last month or two, and generally it is very good idea to use this for scaling because it also allows cast speed to be a more damage multiplier. As more bowstones you cast, the more damage you will gain, assuming you have enough minions to consume those stacks. The way we're gonna accomplish that is use skeletons. The skeleton I'm most likely looking at is either Skeletal Brute, Sniper, or Warrior. I think Warrior or Sniper are the most likely, depending on whether you want melee or ranged, but if Warriors are too squishy, I might end up using Brutes instead. I do think you just want as many skeletons as possible to consume the Bone Storm stacks, and that's the whole idea behind that build. Idea number 2 is a lot more minion-centric, a lot more classic minions, and it is actually stolen from GGG's showcases. It's Skeletal Frostmage, which looked pretty good whenever Mark was playing it in the endgame showcase that GGG actually presented to everyone. So I'm having high hopes for Frostmages, as it really looked like a PoE Exile 1 minion build, where you weren't really doing much. He was just standing there, he casted Frostbomb and a curse, and then watched his skeletons go to work. Build idea number 3 would be using a combination of Skeletal Clerics and Skeletal Reavers. The idea there is that Skeletal Clerics can heal your other minions and keep them alive, while Skeletal Reaver loses life each second to gain more damage as it stacks its rage. I think this is a pretty obvious combo. We don't really know how strong it's going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised if you can keep them alive for a while. They will ramp up the damage harder than Quinn. Another possibility would be utilizing Power Offering or Profane Ritual to create power charges. Why do we need power charges on a minion build? Well, because they work different in Path of Exile 2. They don't actually give you an inherent bonus, but they allow you to summon zombies without a corpse, and those zombies are empowered, doing 100% more damage, taking less damage, and having more move speed. So you could actually use zombies in boss fights with this, and I think zombies are gonna be pretty good if you summon them empowered. You'd probably have to stack a bit of cast speed to try to get to 10 zombies, but I do think that there is something there that it is probably more than just like a supporting minion, like the way it has been in Path of Exile 1. But obviously, as everything, we have to test it in-game. Another option is just die to something, and then bind it as a Spectre. If something killed you, it's probably strong. There is like 400 monsters in Path of Exile 2, and you can summon normal, rare, and magic versions of them. So there's like infinite possibilities of Spectre combinations, and the quality of life is like very easy to actually change your Spectres. I don't know who's testing all of this. I hope someone is. I will test a lot, but there is no way I can test everything myself. I hope you guys will be testing a bunch of stuff and hopefully sharing the information. I'm sure there's gonna be some broken Spectre that is gonna just own everything. And, you know, you will see me using it because I have no shame. But, Mr. Ventrua, what do we do if everything that you just said is not good and minions just suck in Path of Exile 2? Well, we did the same thing we did in Path of Exile 1. We just play Detonate Dead. Sacrifice is a reservation that allows you to use your minions instead of corpses for your corpse skills, which means we can actually explode them. And that is an option in case none of the minions are good. I don't think I will resort to using DD, but having it in the back pocket is always good. If I were to ever use it, I would combine it with Infernal Legion and Minion instability on either zombies or ideally SRS if SRS is any decent HP, but it would most likely be zombies. For my Ascendancy points, I'm definitely starting with the Infernal Hound, as I think it's gonna be very strong. It is based off the Guardian Sentinel of Radiance from Path of Exile 1, which is insanely strong pretty much throughout the entire game except the very end game, and I'm hoping the Infernal Hound is at least half as good, and if it is, it will make our early game a lot nicer. After that, I'll go for Altered Flesh. There's nodes on the skill tree that allow you to increase your maximum res, specifically fire res based on your actual fire resistance. The node probably will end up being like +6 to maximum fire res, so this should be a decent amount of defenses extra. And physical damage taken as chaos damage is probably pretty good, because I don't plan to actually build much armor. What I will do is I will reserve my life to gain more spirit and more energy shield, and I will try to build a character that has 50% life reserved and a lot of ES. Not go CI, because obviously we couldn't use the reservations if we did. And hopefully that is going to be good enough when it comes to defenses, because energy shield looks really strong in Path of Exile 2 based on the information that is available. I might be completely wrong, and I will have to rebuild the character basing the defenses around life and armor. That is possible, but that is my current plan, is to commit fully to energy shield. The mid game is a little scary, as I'm not sure how strong I will be, but I truly believe in the early game and end game being quite solid. Energy shield has some issues in Path of Exile 2. It works a bit different than in PoE1. So chaos damage no longer bypasses energy shield, but instead deals double damage to it, which is probably fine, but it does mean that we have to build a bunch of Chaos Res just to not be super weak against it. I'm expecting Chaos Res around 50% to be sufficient, but I will try to cap it. When it comes to Poison and Bleed, they also work differently in Path of Exile 2. They actually bypass your energy shield. But thankfully, you cannot actually get bled if you have energy shield. If you don't take life damage, you cannot get bled, so it's not a big problem. Poison, on the other hand, might be a lot bigger problem. because I don't think poison has that line about not being able to be inflicted if you don't take life damage. So the way I'm planning to fix it is using antidote charms, which remove poison when you get poisoned. And hopefully that is enough. If we get poisoned, we have enough chaos stress to hopefully not die instantly and just use life loss for it. But again, my character defenses are gonna be mostly ES based, at least in the start. If it doesn't work, there's a decent chance I will transition to armor defense or armor energy shield. Maybe with block and the quasi Aegis node on the tree, who knows? Keep in mind, I haven't played WoW Exile 2 myself yet, so a lot might change about my plans. And I will get to actually experience the game. But I will be streaming my entire process, so if you want to check it out, twitch.tv/Ventrua. And I will also make sure to update you guys on YouTube as much as possible. Hopefully it will help people. Anyways, have a great day everybody. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye!